And good morning, everybody. Here are your notes and examples for IXL.com, Algebra 1, Z.8, and it's going to be on multiplying two binomials together. And before we look at multiplying two binomials together, let's first just review multiplying a monomial one term multiplied by two terms. So, for example, if you had 2x multiplied by 3x plus 1, then what we're saying is we have one term, 2x, being multiplied against two terms, 3x and a 1. So essentially you just need to distribute the 2x. Everything needs to get multiplied by everything else. So if we distribute the 2x, we're going to get 6x squared. So 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. And multiply it by the other term. 2x multiplied by positive 1 should get you 2x. And this is what I call single distribution. When we do our examples today, if we do two binomials, instead of single distribution, it's basically going to be double distribution. We're going to have two terms multiplied against two terms. Same concept as single distribution where you have one term being distributed in. The only difference is we're going to have two terms. So if we had maybe another term here, then you'd have to make sure these two terms are being multiplied against these two terms. So everything has to get multiplied by everything else. So let's do one quick example of that, and then we'll do the IXL.com examples. So let's try an example with double distribution. So let's say we had two terms, 3x plus 1, being multiplied against two other terms, 4x minus 3. Then these first two terms both need to distribute into the other two terms. So the 3x, let's start with the 3x. 3x goes in. That's going to get us 12. 3 times 4 is 12. X times x is x squared. Distribute the 3x into the other term. Negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9, and then we have the x. And then distribute the other term. We need to bring the 1 in. So 1 times the 4, that should get you 4x. And then we're going to do the 1 multiplied by the negative 3. So that's going to get you negative 3. And then you often have like terms that you need to look for, and they usually show up right in the middle. So notice right here we have negative 9x and positive 4x. So we can simplify this statement. It's going to be 12x squared. The negative 9x and the positive 4x, you can put those together, combine like terms. That's going to be negative 5x. And then you have the minus 3. So when you're multiplying two terms against two terms, 9 times out of 10, especially for an Algebra 1 practice problem, these two middle terms end up being like terms, and you can simplify and put those together. And here's our first IXL.com example. So the 3a, we'll distribute that. So 3a times 3a, that's going to get you 9a squared. 3a times the 2 is going to get you 6a. And then distribute the other term. So this 3 needs to distribute in. So 3 times 3 is going to get you 9 times the a. So that's going to get me the 9a. And then 3 times the 2 is going to get you 6. So this would get everything multiplied against everything else, so double distribution, and then look for those middle terms to combine. So if you have 6a and 9a, those are going to be like terms since they have the same variable part a. So they have a different variable part than the a squared. So these two right here are considered your like terms, since the variables are alike. So we'll call this 9a squared. 6a plus 9a should get you 15a plus 6. And that should be your final answer. And you want to put that into the answer box. And here's another example. So the 2y will distribute in. So 2y times the y, that's going to get you 2y squared. 2y times the negative 1 is going to get you negative 2y. And then distribute the negative 4. Negative 4 times the y should get you negative 4y. And negative 4 times the negative 1, negative times a negative, we know that's going to be positive. So negative 4 times a negative 1 is going to be positive 4. And again, look for those two middle terms to be like terms. So rewrite it, 2y squared. Simplify your two middle terms. If you have negative 2y and negative 4y, that's going to be negative 6y. And then plus 4. And there's your final answer. And here's one more example. So 4b, we need to distribute that in. So 4b times the b is going to get you 4b squared. Let's clean that up a little bit. Squared. 4b times the 1, that's going to get you 4b. And let's distribute the negative 2. So negative 2 times b should get you negative 2b. And negative 2 times the 1 should get you negative 2. And then combine like terms in the middle. So these are like terms. So you have 4b squared. 4b minus 2b leaves you with positive 2b. And then minus 2. And that should be your final answer for that one. And those are your notes and examples for multiplying two binomials together. So it's basically two terms multiplied by two terms. Everything has to get multiplied by everything else. And one way to think of it is, instead of having single distribution where it's one term being distributed in, you basically have double distribution. So in general, an example of single distribution, let's say you have something outside of parentheses multiplied by two things inside. Single distribution, you'd have to do a times b, which is the ab, plus a times the c, which is ac. That would be an example of single distribution. Double distribution, you just have two terms, so let's say a plus b, multiplied by two other terms, c plus d. And the a needs to be distributed in to both terms in the other parentheses. So that's going to get you ac. And then the a would have to distribute to the d. So that's going to get you ad. And And then the b would have to distribute in. So b gets multiplied. That's going to get you bc. And then the b has to get multiplied against the d. That's going to get you bd. So double distribution. Two terms have to distribute into the other two terms, and then keeping track of all of that multiplication. And 9 times out of 10, these two terms are like terms. Not always, but for what we're doing, those are probably usually going to be like terms.